Hi everyone, welcome to another race analysis video. This one's a little bit different to my other ones. I'm usually a pretty lazy sprinter and I like to do as little work as possible and just sprint right at the very end. That's worked pretty well for me so far, especially when I've had a team around me. This is an individual grades race. Although I'm racing in the same colours as others, it's an individual race. And so I'm just out to do something a bit different, and I decided that today I'm all about just trying for some breaks. This is vets racing. So the brakes actually have a chance of getting away. More often than not, a brake will at least be away for most of the race, and often they do get away. One or two riders might go away in the last 15 minutes. So I've decided that I'm going to go with some brakes and have a go and see how I go. And we're 5 laps into the race, and almost accidentally, Todd here ahead of me decides he's going to go on an attack. I'm right on his wheel, so I decided to go with him. I'm doing 600 watts almost in his draft at this point. He's managed to get a bit of a gap off me. But he's obviously doing a pretty big turn at his sort of 50 RPM, grinding 600, 700 watts, and we open up a really big gap really quickly. At this point I'm pretty happy to sit in. I will do a bit of work if it looks like we're going to stay away, and glancing behind me, it looks like we've got a bit of clear air. Let's see how this one goes. About 15 seconds later we've opened up quite a big gap, big enough that you can see in the rear camera a runner's got time to cross the road. We're only maybe 500 metres past where Todd started the attack. I think I yelled out to him, big gap, and I decided to commit to this one and do a bit more of a turn myself. The two of us traded turns for a couple of laps, but unfortunately couldn't quite sustain it, and Todd dropped off the wheel just about here in the 7th lap. And unfortunately it all came back together shortly after that. Now I thought that was probably a pretty good attempt at breakaway, maybe a bit early, definitely earlier than I like, but you know, maybe I'll just sit in here for the rest of the race and have a go on a sprint at the end. So for the last couple of 100 metres, I've seen they're coming back, so I've just been tapping out 200 watts on the front, letting them come back and save us some energy. A few laps later, I've had time to recover. A-grade's just passed us in the black helmet covers, so that's usually a good time for another attack to go. And sure enough, a couple of guys with the purple helmet covers attacking over on the right. Again, I'm not interested in sitting into the sprint or race, so I hop in and have a bit of a dig, hit up 1,000 watts, just trying to get on the back of this brake. This one's a bit more promising. There's a couple of riders from a few different teams. There's a few strong riders in that brake, and I figure if I can get onto this, do a bit of work with them, we might actually be able to stay away. Unfortunately, although we catch up to the brake and 3 ahead, once we do, people sort of shut it down a little bit, and the group comes back together. Just about immediately after that though, someone else attacks, as always, and the group comes back together. That's a good time to attack. Although I'd gone with the brake and bridged up to it, I hadn't done any work on the front, and so when this guy went, I had a bit of legs, so I went with him. Once again, it stretched things out again, but it didn't really get a break. A lap later, it's all been stretched out, but no one's really been able to get it away. Jason's had us all lined it up again, and I see him launching. Figuring why not, so I hit the afterburners and try to get on it, and get on the brake, what becomes the next brake of the day. This one draws out 6 of us, and while a couple of us are willing to roll turns and work fairly hard, it's a little disorganised and unfortunately doesn't manage to get much of a gap. And that's always the problem with breakaways that are this big. 6 riders is probably the biggest you're going to want it to be. I'm putting in a decent turn here, 450 watts. You know, this is what I'm hoping we're going to need to do to keep the brake away. And with 6 of us, it should be plenty of time to recover in between. But when I flick the elbow and drop the watts down, unfortunately, no one really pulls through with the same intensity, and ultimately we come back together. And unfortunately, when the gap's this small, we haven't yet established the brake. If one person doesn't pull a turn, or one person skips a turn, the whole group becomes demoralised. If you can see the group right behind you, and we're not getting away because one person's skipping a pull, that's kind of it for the brake, and it's probably time to throw the parachute out and try and FedEx one. You can definitely see a bit of frustration from some of the other riders in the brake too, the ones who are willing to work. A couple of laps later, 2 guys are up the road a little bit, the rest of the group slows down, and Jeff Linder would be proud of me. I attack when it slows down from the back of the bunch and manage to come past the front with a whole lot of speed. I figure 3 off the front, if 3 people are willing to work, that's probably enough. You know, we're in the last 10-12 minutes of the race. It's a 45 plus 2 race, and I figure this might be the next best shot. So I'm going to put in a bit of a dig and try to get onto these 2 guys up the road. I make it across to them. Heart rate's probably about as high as I've seen it in the last few years. I skip 1 pull just while I get my heart rate down under cover. But unfortunately, by the time I do end up getting through to the front, there's a chase group already coming in the rear mirror, and although I'm yelling at these guys to keep it going, another group bridges up to us pretty quickly. Alright, so that break hasn't worked. We're all back together again. And we're within the last 5-10 minutes of the race, so clearly I shouldn't be going in anymore. Break attempt. Okay, we're going on another break attempt. 3 guys make a bit of a move out the road, and I'm going to have to go and go with them. At this point, I think I've decided that it's going to be a break or nothing, because I don't know that I've got much left for a sprint. I've been going with every single break of the day. But I'm going to see if I can make one stick. Although given how close we are at the end of the race, it might be time just to pack it in. This break doesn't go anywhere, and after a few minutes sort of tugging futilely in the front, I call it a day and decide to hide in the bunch for a bit. So I sat in for a few laps. For whatever reason today, I am just really fantastic. I'm really enjoying these big surgy attacks and attempts to hold off. And I feel like I can go again. There's a couple of guys in 1s and 2s off the front, so I launch another attack once again. Now we're within 2 or 3 laps of the end, so this is really when I should just be sitting in. But I saw these 4 guys off the front and just went, if I can get them to work together, who knows, maybe the bunch will sit up and have a long shot at getting through again. So I decided to put in a little bit of work and try to tow these few groups of grabs along for another race. So after doing a reasonable turn, sitting around 350 watts, click the elbow, and fortunately someone else comes through from ADX for the turn. And at this stage I'm thinking we're going to do pretty well. We're just got 2 laps to go. I've got a group of 5 or 6 of us. We've got a few seconds gap on the peloton. ADX doesn't really go hard enough, and I've got enough legs, so I'm going to go again. Unfortunately, I'm probably beginning to start burning a few matches that I don't have now. And it's clear to me at this point that it's either this break or nothing. There's no way I'm recovering enough for a sprint at the end if it all does come back together. Unfortunately, when I do flick the elbow, ADX is back on my wheel. He's already done his turn. No one else is coming through, and by this point, the rest of the group's got us in their sights, and as you might expect, it all comes back together. So we're on the last lap, and as expected, the usual last lap attacks have happened, and so it's absolutely strung out. And I've honestly burnt what I think is my last match, trying to keep in the pace line. At least I'm in a good position at this point, but my heart rate's at 193. I don't think I've seen it any higher than that. And of course, as soon as it slows down, there's a bit of a swamp. The washing machine happens, and I don't have the matches to really try to fight to keep close to the front. At this point, I've pretty much decided that my race is over. I've had a good time. I can see a bunch of my teammates moving through the front. Having said that, I've had 3 or 4 seconds to recover. I can see the sunset train just lining out in front of me. I'm just wishing that I was on the back of that, because if I was, there's the absolute perfect lead out right to the finish. In any event, we've got 20 seconds left in the race, and I decided, whatever, I might as well launch what I've got left. And I don't know what caffeine gels I was on this day, but I managed to come around just about everyone. I think everyone just spread out and gave me this perfect wind tunnel coming through. Tadasol, who's done a whole lot of work in the break, he gets close but then drops off. And it's 1, 2, 3, 5 for Team Rocket, which, considering we're not allowed to work together, and clearly those 3 didn't work together to get those positions, we did really well. So it was a great team race for us all. I had a great time. It was a bit different. Rather than my usual effort of just doing as little as possible and then getting to the end and launching a sprint, I tried something a bit different and came 5th. So had a lot of fun, and I might try that again in another grades race. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed it, and see you in the next one. Bye for now.